If you take people like Jay-Z and Pusha T, they made their living killing our people. So how the stand up?
All of these big dick deviants is all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them.
It's full of homo hating ass. It's like they got this new breed of rapper that's paying DJs to play this shit. You know what I'm saying? They sucking the record label executive dicks, and it's like there's too much of that going on.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Let me be me. Let me be the artist that I am and just play my mother. You get me?
It was the longest 12 hours of my life. Like, I was just waiting downstairs, and I was like, Katt, the contract down here. I want to sign it, I want to sign it, I want to sign it. I was so hyped. I didn't sleep for the next 3 days.
There is no Illuminati. It's just a joke. It's just something that crazy people talk about. There's no such thing as our side and God's side.
For years, whispers have circulated that those at the very pinnacle of the music industry don't just create chart toppers. They orchestrate the disappearance of individuals. Kanye stated it frankly: our people are taken by design, not by chance. Achieving such heights is impossible without stepping over others. Yet the silent billionaires are rarely the ones who face public ruin. While many joke about handlers and gatekeepers, it ceases to feel like a coincidence when the same specific figures appear alongside every major scandal and fallen celebrity. Then, Katt Williams intervenes, reminding the world that this transcends a single reckless mogul hosting excessive parties. He has spent years claiming the industry operates under a unique set of rules where elite men remain shielded regardless of what the media reports. Those rumors people once dismissed regarding hidden rooms, quiet arrangements, and careers exchanged for absolute loyalty no longer seem humorous when you observe who remains untouched after every controversy. Positioned at the center of it all is a specific name that people are now suddenly hesitant to mention. Tonight, we aren't asking you to believe in a conspiracy. We are simply going to examine the stories you are already familiar with side by side and allow you to determine for yourself if Diddy was merely the public face of the disorder or if someone else was truly pulling the strings behind him. The primary thing you observe about the men who actually hold power is that they almost never find themselves adjacent to chaos by mistake.
If you take people like Jay-Z and T, they made their living killing our people. So how the stand up for our people? You know what I'm saying? But we forget that because we love Jay-Z's music so much. We love pushing music so much, right? But you think they would ever, Beyonce had the best fit for somebody else?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You think they would ever tell the truth? No, if they told the truth, back then they'd go to jail. You know what I'm saying? So you have liars.
Man.
Liars are now the face of our culture.
When Kanye discusses someone utilizing the underlying machinery, he is not merely casting insults. He is highlighting a documented history. From his initial years at Def Jam under leadership like Lyor Cohen to alliances with titans in athletics, technology, and digital media, Jay-Z has consistently been situated alongside the individuals who truly authorize the largest payments. He is not simply another performer within the establishment. He is the figure the establishment eventually reshapes itself around. That is why supporters began viewing that Marina Abramovich artistic exhibition through a different lens. Looking back, on paper, it appeared to be sophisticated culture. A musician in a gallery appearing next to a globally renowned performance artist. However, if you understand her history and the specific imagery she utilizes, that partnership appears less like an arbitrary trial and more like a subtle indication of the specific circles Jay-Z was at ease entering. While every other person was still debating over broadcast hits.
Harley passing, they follow me to hotel. Then killed Aaron Carter, and now they acting like they won't play the Backstreet Boys sample.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Harley Pasternak Pusha, your trainer. Harley Pasternak, Jay-Z. You get what I'm saying? And then around for the money on some Mike Rubin slap the Mike Rubin. I see that. You know what I'm saying? It's like bro. Saying I'm on my Farrakhan Don now, bro. Because guess what? These Yeezys gonna sell. They sabotage the show today.
Consequently, when Kanye depicts being intimidated with the prospect of being returned to a state of mental numbness, it aligns with a larger recurring theme. Influential figures surround themselves with experts capable of molding public perceptions, managing outward displays, and ensuring community influences remain suppressed either socially or physically. When individuals cease fulfilling their designated parts within that type of environment, The actual director is not the boisterous associate whose name becomes popular during a controversy. It is the individual who consistently appears to be positioned just out of view, selecting the alliances, endorsing the ceremonies, and departing unscathed when the reputations of everyone else are tarnished in the news. The simplest method to identify who truly holds significance during a disaster is to observe who rushes toward the conflict and who silently retreats.
When famous people think they can delete a post and it's gonna go away forever, honey, we saved your post. Lizzo, the woman that has been accused of SA by 3 of her employees, got on the internet trying to defend Jay-Z. And you know, those accusations about Jay-Z, yeah, it's related to the Epstein list. Don't worry, Lizzo, I saved the post. I'm gonna make sure that everybody sees it.
In the comments, I knew she was wrong. Jay-Z, I knew he was... What did it say Jay-Z did? He was there in 1996? Come on, people. Like, y'all are falling for it. It's the easiest, oldest trick in the book. And honestly, I'm losing faith in the average intelligence of the American person.
Wait, are you suggesting that you're smarter than the average American person because you're famous? Anyways, go on.
Just because somebody's name is mentioned in a 3 million document file of a person's life who's been lived over crimes who've spanned decades, doesn't mean that every single person is an accomplice. He could be mentioned. He referenced Jay-Z once. He was like, oh, we could learn from Jay-Z's business model. Why y'all? Where's the crime? Focus.
I bet whoever does your PR had a straight up meltdown when they saw that you made this post, because there are claims against you that are so bad I can't detail them in this video. Yeah, and everybody has been wondering for years why Jay-Z gets to walk free while everybody around him seems to get in trouble. And then here you are getting on the internet trying to defend him. Well, I hope from this little event, this little you posting the video, taking it down, that you will realize the internet is forever, and lots of us love to use our phones.
Whenever Jay-Z's identity appeared within those recently publicized records, the digital world reacted typically: captures of screens, tagged topics, and immediate judgments. Amidst that controversy, Lizzo appeared on video and performed an action most individuals in her status would never gamble on. She challenged the collective criticism, inquired about the location of the genuine evidence, and essentially informed millions of individuals they were responding excessively. She maintained that possessing your identity cited within a massive pile of records does not spontaneously render you responsible for any wrongdoing. Furthermore, she argued that background circumstances signify more than news titles. However, while one famous person was vocally protecting him, the subtle actions narrated a contrasting account. Supporters began monitoring who abruptly ceased following Jay-Z on Instagram once those identical records were released. Rihanna, Kim Kardashian, Tina Knowles, Kelly Rowland, and even commercial profiles like Apple Music and the NFL all surfaced within those captures. No media announcements, no declarations, merely quiet detachment. Corporate safeguarding acting more rapidly than communal devotion. That division is significant. On one hand, you possess an individual wagering her already delicate standing on the notion that individuals are overinterpreting his identity. On the other hand, you possess a group of kin, associates, and multibillion-dollar affiliates who determine nearly instantly that even being adjacent to his account is no longer worth the danger. If Diddy were merely another famous person in difficulty, you would not witness this degree of strategy regarding who remains beside him and who does not. The manner in which individuals navigate around Jay-Z when situations become strained implies they understand precisely how elevated on the hierarchy his identity truly resides. The element that renders individuals most uneasy is not the hearsay. It is the frequency with which the identical identities surface around very youthful performers right before their existences transform permanently.
Yo, don't put up no movies. I said, that's not my style. That's not what I'm going to do. Yeah, I could have put up movies. I could have showed the R. Kelly video that everybody's talking about, made fun of it, and said, yo, Jay's hanging out. When Jay and them was in there playing Basketball World, you can't tell me Jay didn't see a 14-year-old girl come in the studio and shit on R. Kelly's rap. You can't tell me, you want to tell me that working on that album, that he ain't never seen no 14-year-old girl come in the vicinity?
My belief is that anybody who's worked with him and been in his cypher has seen it go down.
You've seen it go down.
Yeah.
Whenever Nas mentions who was within the recording facility and who was among the audience back then, he is not providing a legal testimony. He is offering you a glimpse of how informal those settings used to be. Veteran hit producers, adolescence on the verge of celebrity, late-hour meetings where no one was considering public perception or age differences, only about completing the track and pursuing the next major achievement. Now, place that alongside Rihanna's own accounts. A teenage girl transported into an entirely unfamiliar environment, seated before one of the most influential men in music, endorsing life-altering documents, then confessing years afterward she did not sleep for 3 days following that agreement because of what it seemed she had just consented to. When she chuckles anxiously about being instructed precisely how to speak, how to behave, whose identities to acknowledge on stage, you are perceiving the subtler aspect of the identical situation. For certain individuals, the realized ambition felt significantly more like being recruited into someone else's persistent strategy. Viewed individually, these instances can be dismissed as industry myths, difficult agreements, or anxiety. However, when the identical senior figure consistently surfaces at the heart of them, always on the successful side of the authority discrepancy, individuals begin to speculate whether he simply became fortunate or whether he grasped from the start exactly how much authority accompanied being the individual in the room. The accounts that truly disturb people are never the most boisterous ones. They are the ones that render recognizable video clips feel different the subsequent time you view them.
Speaking of PTSD, you made a comment about this. Like, this was from the Super Bowl appearance more recently. This bothered you, seeing her put the Rockefellers logo out there.
If you
what was
go
your
back
instinct to that?
and watch, it was almost as if she didn't want to put her hands up, and then she looked over where Jay-Z's box was, and then you just see her hand. She look at her. She's looking at his box. She didn't want to do it. She didn't even want to do that gig. But the hold, especially the financial hold with the companies and all of the money and all of the strings that he pulled to. He treats these women like shell corporations.
Is that why this happened? Do you have any insight on this infamous elevator video where Solange was seen just unloading on him? Beyonce's there as well.
What I will say is, right there, that's the moment when he told her to back up and called her Tito Jackson.
But respect
There was-
and love to Tito Jackson, who we just lost recently.
I know. Tito
legend,
could never
yeah.
get a break, and he's the nicest guy.
But here,
yeah,
Jay-Z
there
trying to
was-
mimic, she's not worthy, she's nobody, is what he's trying to
Pretty
do.
much is what he pretty much said to her. But the thing is there was infidelity that was happening that night. Both of them got caught doing things they weren't supposed to do. I believe there might have been some DV that happened. And people who know Mr. Carter knows he doesn't have a problem with putting his hands on his wife. Plenty of people know that to be true. Solange is different. Allegedly. Solange is different. She's old school Southern, and she loves her big sister, even when her big sister makes mistakes. She stood up for her sister. The most interesting thing about that, though, can we look at that one more time, Andy? They come in, and all of this, and then look, it almost looks like he's going to defend himself, but instead he prostrates himself, right? He lets Solange go nuts, and then he sits there and acts. He knows that camera's there. He knows where all the cameras are in that place. There's another footage, and I'll get it and I'll send it to you, of him with another woman approaching him aggressively, or it seemed like aggressively, and he's the crap out of her. Matter of fact, there's at least 5 different shows over the course of the past 15 years where he has physically women that came into his space that he didn't want anywhere near him. So I find it funny that in all those other instances, he had no problem with putting his hands on a woman to so-called defend himself. But when he's getting killed alive with cameras there, all of a sudden now he's meek and mild. I think that was a setup. I think he did that specifically to handle up on Solange.
Whenever Jaguar Wright discusses Rihanna performing whatever Jay-Z dictates due to his volatile nature, she is encouraging you to review years of footage with a fresh perspective. Abruptly, being submissive does not appear to be courtesy. It appears to be a technique for survival. In her interpretation, Rihanna and Beyoncé are not merely mentees. They are women mastering the precise pitch, grin, and quietude that prevents the middle of the area from detonating. And that lift incident involving Solange ceases to be an arbitrary eruption and begins appearing like the single occasion someone within that household lashed out openly at the man. No one ever challenges him on film.
A lot of people have been hitting me about, how could Jaguar Wright know all these things, right? And how, Jaguar Wright hasn't worked with Jay-Z since, when she did the Unplugged. That's a long time ago. Well, I can tell you just from what I've experienced is the people that have contacted me since I've done like your show and since I've done other shows, people have contacted me, other victims, and have sent me. Obviously, there's been some people that have sent me stuff that, doesn't check out or whatever, but victims have contacted me and they have sent me proof that can never be disputed, photos, everything else, because they don't want to bring their story out, but they like what we're doing. So they're whistleblowing, but they're doing quietly to protect their jobs and to protect their families and to protect, whatever. They're not comfortable speaking out. So if I've got all kinds of information in the last 2 months, just from doing, shows like you guys, I can't imagine all the stuff that Jaguar Wright has got and to her and the access that she's seen and the people who have came to her. Like, she has such a bigger reach and such a bigger audience than me.
Subsequently, Jonathan Hay, the previous media representative for Rihanna, approaches from an entirely distinct perspective and silently addresses the omissions. He does not replicate Jaguar's most extreme statements. He does not need to. All he performs is validate that there was significantly more occurring behind the curtain than the general public was permitted to witness, and that specific determinations regarding Rihanna's persona, associations, and debuts were not genuinely hers to decide. Whenever the individual whose profession was to refine the narrative states the actual account is grimmer and more regulated than individuals believe, it causes you to view Jay-Z less as a spouse or advisor and more like the filmmaker who never surfaces within the shot but dictates the end of everyone else's experiences. You do not have to trust every particular they distribute. However, if you consider their accounts collectively, a woman who claims she observed the trend intimately and a specialist who confesses there was consistently more than he could disclose at that period, it becomes more difficult to claim this is merely standard famous person conflict. It begins to sense like what you would anticipate from a director, someone who maintains the trademark untarnished, the associates functional, and the stress so persistent that even the most prominent celebrities globally navigate around him as if they are terrified to fail their expectations. There is an additional trend that consistently surfaces within these accounts, and it possesses nothing to do with rumors. It is regarding who departs untarnished when circumstances go wrong.
Y'all don't see the lineup?
Yeah, we see the lineup. I'm just waiting to see who's next.
Jay-Z is setting Diddy up. Why is everyone having such a hard time? He ain't doing shit different. He lined up D-Haven, stole his life and identity. He lined up Big L, stole his life and identity. He lined up Dame Dash, stole his life, identity, and took his love. Lined up R. Kelly. He wants to be the one.
Yeah, shout out D-Haven. He actually hit us up, wanted to tell this story.
You need to talk to D-Haven.
Yeah, we need to talk to him.
I told you that last year when I put you on the phone with him.
You did.
I want you to think about this. Allegedly, Sean Carter is responsible for enacting Katt Williams to put Aaliyah on a faulty plane to move her out the way as punishment for rejecting him, and so he could level up Beyonce, who was struggling. Let's just say allegedly that happened. Now I want you to think about 106th and Park with Mary J. Blige. Free, who is a victim of Sean Carter.
Yeah.
Mary J. Blige, who is a victim of Sean Combs, are sitting there talking about the death of Aaliyah amongst each other. Think about that. You got a Diddy victim, you got a Jay-Z victim, and you got a superstar gone. They know what happened. And yet, they had to sit there and have that conversation like they didn't know who did it. Think of the power of that moment. Think about Claudia Jordan right now. Claudia Jordan don't ever mention my mother name. She mentioned it yesterday. Talking about why people are afraid to come forward. You mean like you? You was Diddy girl. Corey was Jay-Z girl. Why don't you claim your friend? Claudia.
So, Jack, when you say...
When I say Corey, I'm talking about Kathy White.
Oh, yeah. That's what I was about to ask.
Jay-Z's pregnant mistress.
Yeah.
Who died of an imaginary...
Whenever Jaguar analyzes how specific individuals surrounding Jay-Z consistently appear to become the public representation of the crisis, DeHaven, Dame Dash, former partners, and currently Diddy, she is actually discussing a repetitive behavior. Agreements are reached, boundaries are breached, tension increases, and whenever it eventually detonates, there is consistently someone situated nearer to the explosion than Jay-Z himself. According to her perspective, that is not misfortune. That is a maneuver. You position loud, flamboyant characters in the foreground. You permit them to relish the disorder. And whenever the accountability arrives, they become the narrative while the designer silently restructures and continues. The remarkable aspect is how frequently the chronology appears to reinforce that framework. Every occasion an associate's identity becomes too burdensome, whether it is a street collaborator, a commercial partner, or another influential tycoon. You observe the identical progression. Detachment, image transformation, and a fresh phase that depicts Jay-Z as more mature, more intelligent, and more concentrated on his heritage. The previous phase concludes around another person's errors, and the domain continues to grow. You may determine for yourself how much of Jaguar's interpretation you credit. However, if you attend to the manner in which she depicts those associations and contrast it with who is capturing news titles today versus who is still brokering multi-billion-dollar agreements, it poses a straightforward, unsettling inquiry. Did Jay-Z simply become remarkably fortunate regarding who accepted the responsibility? Or has he consistently understood precisely where to position individuals so he never has to occupy that position himself? One point Katt Williams has been steady about throughout every period is this: whatever is occurring at the pinnacle is not arbitrary.
All of us are against the Illuminati, and we are against the Illuminati at our own detriment. When people are against the Illuminati, then they get punched in the face all the time. The press hates them, and nobody likes them. End quote.
We all love Dave Chappelle.
Exactly. Dave Chappelle has never been a part of the Illuminati. They don't want him or me or people like us. Yeah. But now it's not necessary for us to stir up that hornet's nest unless we intend to get stung 1,000,000 times. I didn't understand that. They had to sting me 1,000,000 times. I'm still not going to join, but I respect it a little bit.
Whenever he discusses certain individuals among us selecting to resist, even if it deprives them of everything, he is establishing a boundary between two categories of professional paths: those who comply with unspoken regulations and ascend to the peak, and those who resist and are silently forced out.
There's no such thing as our side and God's side.
He confesses there existed a period when he jested that there was no alternative side, no hidden group managing affairs, and the muteness he received in reaction disturbed him. No one amended his statement. No one dismissed it with laughter. It appeared less like a difference of opinion and more like individuals pausing to observe if he would ultimately comply. You can discern how profound a framework operates by observing the fate of individuals who attempt to deviate from the established narrative.
I am strong. This happened to me. I didn't cause this. I didn't do it. This happened to me, and it can happen to anybody. There are a lot of women who've experienced what I did, but not in the public. So it made it really difficult. I just felt like, oh my God, here goes my little bit of privacy. Just exposed. Like, it's something that nobody wants anybody to know. So here I am, the whole world knowing.
Why be ashamed?
Because I didn't want people to think that that's the kind of person that I fell in love with that person. That's embarrassing. That's embarrassing that that's the type of person that I fell in love with. So far in love, so unconditional that I went back.
On average, I think it takes a woman 7 times before she leaves.
8 or 9, actually. And I don't want that to happen. That's not what I want to teach people. But again, people, I'm a human being, and people put me on a very unrealistic pedestal, and all these expectations. I'm not perfect. Also, it's pretty natural for that to be the first reaction. It's completely normal to go back. You start lying to yourself. The minute the physical wounds go away, you want this thing to go away. This is a memory you don't want to have ever again.
That interview was intended to be a transparent moment of atonement, yet the manner in which it was presented achieved a different result. It immobilized him within that era. As the complication, the warning narrative, the specimen, the apparatus understands how to magnify a single individual's most negative phase until it overwhelms every other detail. And observe who is never depicted in that manner, regardless of the quantity of hearsay that surrounds their identity.
Everyone in the backdrop knew that he was the celebrity John Doe. Everybody knew that. They knew it when I did Pierce Morgan.
Is Beyonce Celebrity B?
I hope to God not. But she was around. And she's very... she's got enough on her plate. After everything that happened with the election and everything that's happening right now, I'm not going to dump on that woman. She got better fish to fry.
Well,
what I
look,
will say is that her husband, she knows exactly who he is.
Jaguar's argument here is not merely that Beyonce possessed knowledge. It is that you do not construct a domain of that magnitude by chance. Associates, life partners, and subordinates, they all acquired the identical unvoiced regulation. Safeguard the trademark at any price. Even if it necessitates enduring circumstances you would never permit from any other individual. That is the method by which you maintain a single reputation untarnished while professional lives in every direction emerge and collapse.
The diva Rihanna. She's from Barbados?
Yeah.
Okay.
Bayesian.
Okay, she's Bayesian. How did you come in contact with her? I mean, did you fly over there?
No, Jay Brown had actually bought me the song. She had a song right now, and it's I wouldn't say massive because of her rules. When I first heard the song, and then, he kept going, Jay Brown, he kept being persistent. I was like, you know what, bring her by. And when she walked into our office, I was like, she just had, it was just something about her. It was just, she had this, it was just something about it. And then she performed the song, and I was like, okay. Okay. Then, we sat down and we talked, and they were talking about how she would stay in the studio and try to get the verse over, and then come back the next day. I was like, oh, work ethic, everything is there. So we signed it that night. We didn't let her leave the office.
Really?
The 3 a.m. was when that contract got signed. So from the meeting around 3, 4 in the afternoon, we signed it by 3 a.m. Wow. That day, I was absolutely certain.
To you. Oh yes, he said we don't sing songs here, we sing artists. And there was this little pause, and I was nervous. But then he said, and we're interested. And there was this sudden feel of relief. But then he said something about a window and a door. Oh, then he said, he said it one word. I did a lot of homework on you, Miss Lady. He said, there are 2 ways to leave here, either through the door with the deal signed or through this window, and we're on the 29th floor.
Subsequently, you revisit that footage of adolescent Rihanna anxiously giggling while discussing the nature of the agreement. Behaving as though being addressed in a specific manner was merely a component of the profession. To a child, it likely appeared ordinary. Every individual surrounding her was approaching it as standard commerce. To mature observers viewing it currently, it interprets as something different. The instance an influential male determined precisely how her narrative would be narrated and how diminished she needed to render herself to accommodate it. Considered collectively, these are not definitive proofs. They are recurring themes. Communal offerings and confidential devotion. Youthful celebrities remodeled to suit a single man's perspective. A companion who, according to individuals who labored in proximity, consistently understood more than she could ever disclose. If Diddy appeared as the impulsive superior, this interpretation of occurrences implies Jay-Z might be something more silent and more perilous to interrogate. The designer you are not permitted to identify even when you have been residing within his blueprint for decades. At a certain juncture, the inquiry ceases to be what he committed and transforms into what category of environments was he consistently occupying.
Jay-Z used to have transgender women on there. On the tour bus, he knows that. He knows that Jay-Z used to prefer transgender women. So I don't know why. I wish Dame Dash would come out and, say everything, but maybe in his own way, he's trying to, protect the hip hop culture and knows how many people could be crushed if he came out and really spoke about Jay-Z's secrets.
Did you personally see Jay-Z with transgender women? You personally?
I have, correct.
Can you speak on maybe in what aspect? Is it music video or outside of music videos?
It was during it was during the tour. It was during the tour with the Mill, DMX, Jay-Z.
The Hard Knock Life.
No.
Or maybe a different one.
Yeah, they had the documentary for it. What was that called? I'll think of it. I'll think of it here in a little bit.
Yeah, it was a documentary, backstage or the
backstage with the Mill and all that. I used to work with her, and I definitely. It was unmistakable. In 2024, the trans women are. It can be hard, like a lot of people that, they don't know, but back then it wasn't as advanced and you could clearly tell, that was.
Whenever Rihanna's previous media representative discusses the confidential information Dame Dash could disclose, he is not characterizing a standard professional companionship. He is alluding to an entire aspect of Jay-Z that the general population never witnesses. Inclinations, routines, and nocturnal behaviors that never surface within song verses or factual films, yet are widespread information among the individuals who previously resided within his social group. It serves as an additional recollection that the portrayal of Jay-Z marketed to the globe as a refined domestic individual and commercial authority is merely a single modification of the recorded material.
Allegedly, the song Daughter on Beyonce's Cowboy Carter album. I love that word. Well, it's potentially a murder confession about Jay-Z's mistress, Kathy White. Yeah, buckle up. On August 28th, 2011, Beyonce announced her pregnancy at the MTV VMAs. On January 7th, 2012, Blue...
Those murmurs regarding Beyonce being recruited for damage control regarding other individuals' controversies reinforce that concept even further. Regardless of whether every particular is precise or not, the hearsay itself demonstrates how the public perceives this pair. As a cohesive entity that will perform whatever is necessary to maintain the heritage as infallible, even if it necessitates being adjacent to accounts they would never address personally.
I guess 12 hours of my life. I was just waiting downstairs and I was like, get the contract on here. I want to sign it. I was so hyped. I didn't sleep for the next 3 days.
At that time,
correct? 15-year-old girl who had been flown to the United States without parental supervision or a chaperone, brought to a grown man's office in a large corporate Manhattan building. Everybody knew when she flew in. I was there the day she got signed. Everyone was talking about it. And the 6 hours that she spent with him and the 4 hours that she spent alone with him with no parental supervision. Her father didn't show up till the next day to come and collect the check.
Well, and
this isn't her life.
the rumors were even beyond that, right? That Jay-Z was cheating on Beyonce with her when she was
Very much
17
so.
is what a lot of this came out through a
From that first team from Pond the Replay and replaced with all new handlers and kept sheltered in Los Angeles, where she was going out to parties and partying at 15, 16, 17 years old, hanging out at the Rainbow Room, hanging out. Yeah, like it was one of my friends who found out she was 17 when everyone thought she was 21. And he was like, yo, why do y'all got me carrying this girl around? And she's, oh, it's cool, it's cool.
Well, but just to echo and support you, like they had to debunk that. Oh, we apologize. It wasn't real. We made it up in hopes of giving her single a boost.
Yeah, they
like,
promised
what?
Jonathan a deal working at Tidal and something, and then they reneged. And then the next thing you know, he was caught in a home invasion robbery while he was working on the Drake secret baby mama story,
Jeez.
Sophie. He was duct taped, him and his daughter, and he was pow whipped in front of his child. So, you know, there's a lot that goes on.
Jaguar's interpretation renders that sensation even more burdensome. She depicts a female scarcely beyond adolescence, being abandoned solitary with a celebrity for prolonged periods, lacking genuine safeguarding, lacking genuine oversight, and a group of mature individuals subsequently gesturing and remarking, "Indeed, she was 17." Regardless of whether you credit every particular or not, the trend remains identical. The environment is consistently arranged in a manner that grants one individual entire influence and renders the more youthful one appreciative merely to be present. You never witness Jay-Z boast regarding any of this. That is precisely the objective. In every interpretation, Rihanna's anxiety, Jaguar's cautions, the absent mature figures, he is not the boisterous individual in the middle of the shot. He is the permanent fixture in the rear, the individual the environment is constructed around. And for numerous spectators, that is what a director appears as in actual existence. Not the most vocal male at the gathering, but the one who regulates who receives invitations, how long they remain, and what it penalizes them to depart. When you review the previous 2 decades, the most peculiar instances are not the controversies. They are the minor lapses where individuals demonstrated to you the authority relationship in actual duration.
It was after Beyonce when she was before 18, correct? I mean, as we go through the timeline, they claim, oh no, I met him at 18 and then we waited till I was 19, but they knew each other when she was like 15, 16, correct? He clearly had eyes, and it's not the only one, right? There's Aaliyah as well. I was looking at these photos. There's a history
But Aaliyah,
of this, right?
definitely. A lot of people don't realize the timeline, but after everything went bad with Robert Kelly and he had to divorce Aaliyah, Jay-Z was interested while she was still underage. And as she started spending more time in New York, he was very, very, very right there. She didn't want that. She didn't want that with him. And if there's one thing I can tell you about Sean Carter, being embarrassed and being rejected are things he does not handle.
Jaguar's assertion is straightforward and distressing. Jay-Z did not merely encounter associations with Beyonce, Aaliyah, and Rihanna by chance. He sought out a highly particular category of individual at a highly particular phase in their existences. Furthermore, the one who refused to comply, Aaliyah, did not receive the shielded, meticulously overseen narrative that the others obtained. She is not merely labeling him a seducer. She is portraying him as an individual who grasped how influential it is to be the person who uncovers you, molds your persona, and determines how your elevation and your quietude are managed.
Dad, I know I promised you I'm gonna give you my first Grammy, but we might have to fight for this one.
She said she wanted to thank everybody for her first Grammy.
Anyway, I'd like to thank Jay-Z for being a part of this record with me.
She'd like to thank Jigga Man for being the greatest in the world.
Ellen Reed, Steve Bartles, Tata, Jay Brown, Karen Kwok for finding this amazing record. Tricky Dream for writing such a beautiful...
You can observe a more subtle manifestation of that authority during that Grammy instance. Rihanna remains there, award in grasp, and you can perceive how meticulously she is being instructed to express gratitude not merely to the supporters or the collective, but a highly particular group of males surrounding Jay-Z. Upon the platform, it appears as admiration. Beneath this heading, it senses more like staging, communal appreciation utilized to recall every spectator precisely who is accountable for her presence upon that platform and the extent to which she remains indebted to them.
All of these big dick deviants is all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all.
That is why Katt Williams' 6-second caution resonated so profoundly currently, significantly before records were released and chronologies were interconnected. He gazed into the lens and declared that it was finished for all the prominent figures, the individuals everyone murmured about but no one would identify. He had previously informed you that this industry operates on partnerships, confidentialities, and bypasses, and that eventually, the debt arrives for payment. Diddy collapsing first aligns with framework somewhat too accurately. The most vocal presence within the disorder absorbing the primary impact while the more composed billionaire in the rear attempts to continue proceeding as if nothing has altered. However, if Katt was correct regarding the celebrations, the sentinels, and the organization they shield, then this might merely be the initial phase, not the conclusion. Consequently, currently the genuine inquiries arrive within your possession. If Diddy was the individual selected to endure the communal ruin, does render Jay-Z the blameless spectator he seems to be or the silent designer Katt has been suggesting throughout this entire duration? And as additional evidence, cessations of following and veteran discussions persist in reappearing, do you still credit that this is entirely merely envy and collusion discourse? Or are we witnessing Katt's prophecy regarding who is subsequent materialize in gradual movement directly before us? If you appreciate this production, strike that membership control so that you never fail to notice any fresh productions. And until then, maintain authenticity.